Keith Morgan, our guest, his only book?
Yeah, I did one on traffic some years ago.
Well,
quite a contrast.
This would be a more powerful book in a sense, but you are the driving editor at the
yes,
Province in the Vancouver Sun.
Yes.
So you do have a day job.
Yes, I do have a day
And you're
job.
a good question asker and a great journalist. This proves that. The journey for you, and I asked you this at the beginning, but you went across
I went
and
I did.
met
I went,
all these people.
Yes, Lithuania, Poland. I went to Auschwitz, retraced Tamara's steps and the children's steps, really, from travel to Auschwitz. And then I went across the U.S. and Israel, tracing neighbors in the ghetto, and verifying stories and getting different angles on the same story.
Right, I'm sure. And moments you will never forget.
Oh,
the interviews alone.
The standout one is there's a story in the book about the ban on the birth of babies, and how Wolf Pesachowicz, who was Gita's cousin and the doctor in the ghetto, plotted to. There was a deadline, no more children born, or everybody would be executed.
And if you were pregnant, my understanding is in the ghetto, if you were 4 months pregnant, 8 months pregnant,
absolutely,
and female, you had to have an abortion.
So he and another doctor, Dr. Luntz, conspired and brought all the births on early, which was amazing. However, as things are, they got pregnant again, and so then the next stage were abortions. But one mother-to-be was determined, no, she was not giving up her child. So, cut a long story short, she hid in this house that we're in among about 15 people, and she gave birth in the attic. And eventually the child was smuggled out in a suitcase and handed to another rescuer, thrown over the fence and arrested.
Smuggled through the ghetto because you had to go through the authorities, obviously.
Yeah, well, she was thrown. What happened is there's a little dab on the nose, so the ether, and the child went to sleep, put into Dr. Pesachowicz's case, and he tossed it over the fence at the ghetto, and there was somebody on the other side to catch it, and obviously prearranged,
right.
And away it went. But the story is, I found him in New Jersey.
That is a story, and I mean, he smuggled out in a suitcase with holes poked in the side,
right.
like you would smuggle a small dog.
Yeah.
And he not only survived.
Yeah. He survived. He was taken in by his uncle after the war in Lithuania, but because Khrushchev wouldn't let him out. The Russians, the Soviets were then in charge. And eventually in the 50s, they let him out, made a big deal of it, and he was flown to New York, this young commie boy, and adapted eventually and became a successful engineer. And when I met him, he said, "I'm pleased to meet you, Keith. You know more about my life than I do."
I bet. Well, of course, because, I mean, we've all had interesting starts, but not that kind of start. Yeah. A rare person. The great in the book are so great. The tragedy in the book is so tragic. I mean,
it is.
Really. But why did you write it?
English schoolboy. History was just really about the war and a little bit about concentration camps. When I learned that 200,000 had been killed in Lithuania, I knew nothing about the Baltics. And of course, as I told you, I was struck by Tamara's story about her parting.
Of course.
And I just believed that it had to be told, the story. And when I met Sir Martin Gilbert, he assured me it must be told. And he said nobody had written a mass market book about this aspect of the Holocaust.
Well, and I think that no child need ever have to hide in a dark place again if the world was a perfect place, and it's not. And you see the anti-Semitism coming up in Lithuania.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, I mean, even just before we started writing it, they're doing damage to the Jewish cemetery there in the same town.
Right.
There are some exciting times for this. I pledged to Ruth that this story would be told and that I would explore every opportunity to tell the story repeatedly. And with the help of the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center, we're going to produce a youth version for free download in the fall.
Great.
with a study guide. So on it goes. And of course, then it will go worldwide.
Because to think that every day you wake up in a ghetto or a camp and you have no idea if you'll live to the end of the day. No idea. Knock on the door. All you know is it's not a good thing.
That's right.
And to imagine soldiers being able to change the rules every day. Today it's okay to have children, tomorrow it's not okay to have children. Tomorrow we'll kill your children, or we'll murder you, or we'll hang you in the square.
Yes, exactly, for smuggling in a few potatoes.
For smuggling in a few potatoes. Absolutely. How did the seagulls get to Canada?
Oh, well, they, by an interesting route, they were in Germany for a while, and they, like many Jews, applied to come here, and fortunately eventually did. In the 50s. And,
Nova Scotia?
Yeah, they landed there, and then they went to Montreal, the usual route, actually.
Right.
And then they ended up here many years ago, and of course were very successful here. All of them, the whole family.
Yes, and Ruth has children.
She does, yes, and they're all very successful, and they've been wonderful. You know, they've been very supportive.
I'm sure. And how do they feel about this? They've been supportive.
Oh,
what was it like for them?
They're thrilled because I think I was able to tell them the complete story, and they want it told. They want it out there. We were at a symposium for 1,000 youngsters a few weeks ago at UBC, and it was rapturously received, and kids just absolutely eating it up, determined to carry on that message, and that was thrilling for the family.
Very much so. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for doing this. Ruta's Closet, Keith Morgan with Ruth Cron Siegel.